Good morning, everyone. The Joint Board of Directors meeting of Foothill Eastern and San Joaquin is now called to order. Please rise for the opening prayer given by Director Miniger, but remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance offered by Director Puckett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dear God, we thank you that you promised to us to be with us always. Thank you that your presence is with us right now. Today, we give you our hearts, our minds, and our lives. Come speak your words of life into our beings. We pray that you would deepen our comprehension, broaden our thinking, and transform our understanding of what we are about to decide for our respective cities, the county, and the region during the TCA board meeting this morning. For you are wise counselor, our perfect teacher, and our faithful friend. Thank you, God. Amen.
Please join me as we pledge allegiance to our great symbol of freedom. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Ochoa, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Caruth,
Here.
Director Hack, Director Miniger,
Present.
Director Piotr, Director Vixorek,
Here.
Director Beal,
Here.
Director Huang,
Here.
Director Moreno,
Here.
Director Mueller,
Here.
Director Puckett,
Here.
Director Voits,
Here.
Alternate Bilodeau,
Present.
Director Marriott,
Present.
Director Sachs,
Here.
Director Shea, Director Spitzer, Director Ward,
Here.
Alternate Jimenez.
Here.
We have a quorum for
We have a
both.
quorum, and I think it's appropriate for us to thank Bert Hack for being here this morning. He is a true hero, and we appreciate his presence here with all of his challenges in getting here this morning, and we're grateful for him, for his
Thank you
attendance
for
here.
inviting me. I
And
appreciate it.
wish you a healthy recovery. Well, healthy recovery. This is now the time for members of the public to address the boards of directors on items within our jurisdiction. Ms. Ochoa, do we have any speakers this morning?
No, we don't.
And seeing no one rise, we'll move to our next item. It is always a pleasure to welcome elected officials newly appointed to our boards of directors. Joining me here behind the dais will be from the city of Yorba Linda, Peggy Wong, from the city of San Juan Capistrano, Brian Marriott, city of Anaheim, Jose Moreno, and from the city of Dana Point, Richard Vixorek. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter?
I do.
Congratulations. Board leadership reorganization typically occurs in the month of June. However, our current Foothill Chair, Lisa Bartlett, now serves as Vice Chair of OCTA, and those of us who know Lisa Bartlett know that she would never step away nor shirk any kind of responsibility, but she feels to avoid any potential conflicts between OCTA and her work at TCA, she is now stepping aside. So this morning, I will open the floor to nominations for Foothill Chair.
Madam Chair, I would like to nominate Ed Sachs.
Very good. We have a nomination from Director Puckett, a second from Director Spitzer. Nominations are now closed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Ed Sachs. You are now Chair of Foothill Eastern. In addition, I will open the floor to nominations for the vice chair of Foothill Eastern.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Christina Shea.
We have a nomination from
Second.
Director Sachs and a second from Director Puckett. Any other nominations?
Move to close.
We have a motion to close. Nominations are closed. All those in favor of Christina
Aye.
Shea and opposed? Congratulations, Christina Shea, vice chair of Foothill Eastern.
Mazel tov.
And now we move to consent calendar items for the San Joaquin Hills Agency. Item 3 through 9, rather routine. Most of us have had this agenda since Thursday. Any items that should be pulled by San Joaquin directors on their consent calendar item? Do I have a motion for
Move approval
approval?
of the consent calendar.
Thank you, Director Piotr. Second from, who was our second? Director Shea. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Consent calendar is approved. For Foothill Eastern directors, that is the consent calendar items 3-7 through 10 through 11.
Move consent.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and from Director Voigt and a second from Director Ward for Foothill Eastern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent calendar for Foothill Eastern has been approved. Our next item is San Joaquin and Foothill. We will discuss these together. So is Mr. Martin here this morning? Who will give us a report on the investment policy and broker dealers. Good morning, Mr. Martin.
Good morning. So with me today is Jason Schmidt, Executive Vice President of Chandler Asset Management, should specific questions come up. So before I present this item, I'd like to inform you that we have modified the broker-dealer list to exclude Wells Fargo due to a financial conflict under California Government Code Section 1090. And then with that, I'd like to begin with the annual review process. So,
Just one fast
Yes.
question for me. Now, that has nothing to do with the North Dakota pipeline or any of those issues that have come up in the news recently? It's
That's
unrelated
correct.
to this? Okay. thank you.
unrelated.
Go ahead, Mr. Martin.
Next slide, please. Thank you. So an annual review, although not required by state statute, but recommended by CDAC, the agency takes a proactive approach. Within Section 8 of the investment policies, it indicates at least annually we review the relevance of current government code in addition to economic trends. By doing so, this ensures that we are in alignment with both the California government code and the agency's goals and objectives. This practice also improves the quality of decisions and demonstrates a commitment to the fiduciary care of the assets with an emphasis on balancing safety and liquidity with yield. It also allows the agency to tailor a strategy to meet investment goals. In a few slides, I'll also show you the broker-dealer list. So next slide, please. So there were no significant changes made to the state code related to the investment of public funds. It was, the changes that we made were limited to, for clarification purposes and readability purposes only. There were no investment criteria modifications made to the policy. So in your handout, we gave out specific updates, but at a very high level. The changes were made to credit rating definitions. We moved supranationals to its own separate category where it was previously designated under federally government-sponsored agencies, notes, and bonds. And then we also added two new definitions, which is legal final maturity and purchase date. Legal final maturity date is when a security becomes due and payable, and a purchase date is when money actually changes hands, not necessarily the transaction date. In many cases also, our investment policy is more conservative compared to state code, specifically percentages allocable to specific asset classes, as we believe a more diversified portfolio is most prudent. And the last slide, again, is the updated broker-dealer list. There were two asterisks in the first and third column, which denotes the changes from last year, in addition to now Wells Fargo being removed. So Amherst Pierpoint were two separate companies that are now merged together. And removed from the list was BNP Paribas and PNC Banks. And in addition, and in place of those two organizations was Toronto Dominion Securities. So we believe the list is comprehensive, providing the agency an abundant inventory of offerings, and ultimately would provide us with the best execution possible. And with that, I ask for the next slide, please. So staff is asking for adoption of resolutions S 2017-01, F 2017-01, along with approving the modified broker-dealer list for both agencies. And with that,
Questions for Mr. Martin? Yes, Director Spitzer.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So with respect to these changes, how would you categorize these changes? Are they technical changes, or are they changes that will affect yield opportunities?
no, it was really more honestly just clarification purposes and readability as the actual policy itself, just from actually an organizational kind of purpose. So no technical changes were made. No changes were made to any of the criteria as far as percentages allowable to asset classes, extension on tenor or anything.
On the super nationals, though, it
Correct.
says 35%, right? Was that what it was before it was
Yeah, so-
split out?
Yeah, it was actually, again, categorized under federal agencies, notes, and bonds. But we thought, again, for clarification purposes, we should move it into a separate category. Again, it didn't change what we could do from an investment perspective. It just spelled it out more clearly in the policy itself.
And then lastly, I'm not privy to the Wells Fargo issue. Why are they being eliminated as a broker?
So we have would you like to?
Yeah, I can address that.
Wow, must be sensitive, our legal counsel.
Mr.
You
Rubin?
guys must know something I don't know.
So Director Marriott works for Wells Fargo. He's an officer with Wells Fargo, and because under that, doesn't qualify for the remote interest exception under 1090, actually 1091 of the government code. And we thought it prudent that at this stage, it's better to eliminate them and avoid the potential ramifications under government code 1097, which include voiding any future contract.
So wait, we have a director now who's a director of Wells Fargo?
An officer.
One of our directors is now an officer? So
Correct.
under 1090, it recuses the entire board potentially, right?
Right, correct. No action can be taken.
Well, I want to talk about that for a minute. I mean, look, I've lost this argument for years about Merrill Lynch. I don't think we should do business with Merrill Lynch, but the fact is Merrill Lynch is a huge buying power, right? I mean, you get a lot. So I can only imagine Wells Fargo is significant. So forget about the fact we might have this legal issue or a director issue. From a public policy and a practical point of view, what does it mean in terms of losing Wells Fargo as an option? Because then we would have a different discussion if that is potentially significant, whether a director is here or not. I don't make decisions based upon whether somebody should be sitting here as a director. We have a fiduciary obligation to this board, and then we could have a different discussion. I knew none of this when I walked in this morning, but on the natural, Wells Fargo is a big player in this space. So I need a professional opinion about what it means to our inability to use Wells Fargo.
No. Jason, would you like to?
Is this Mr.
So
Schmidt?
this is Jason Schmidt, yeah, Executive Vice President of Chandler Asset Management.
And your answer, I'm going to caution you. I mean, every time you've presented here, you've been nothing but candid with us. It's obviously a little sensitive. I'm you. Well, you got a director. There might be issues. I'm just asking for your straight-up opinion about Wells Fargo and what it means to the portfolio.
Good. So think of it this way. So there's a couple of things to think about as far as the different facets when you don't include a broker-dealer. First of all is the inventory of securities that are available. So yes, it will constrain the amount of securities that are available for the agency to purchase, but I don't think it will be in a material way, given what the investment policy is today. The other thing it constrains is also the ability to transact those securities at the best price. And given that we have a large broker-dealer list with a large amount of different players, it will constrain that somewhat, but I don't think it's in a material basis if you were to exclude them from your permitted brokers list.
But you will have to go through some kind of exercise. I mean, if we take them off the list, it is what it is. You're left with that field, right? So it's like, if we take them off the list, but your professional opinion, what I hear you saying, just to reiterate it so I'm clear, is you don't think it's going to have a material impact. We have the ability to purchase from others, and you don't think the price will be affected if we lose a big hitter like Wells Fargo?
Not in a material way, because we have also many of the other large broker-dealers that are out there, and so they also make markets in the same securities that you're purchasing.
All right. I would just say, I apologize, but was that whole 1090 issue in the staff report? Like, how was the board made aware of that?
So basically, that came up when we were doing the new board member orientations and became aware that Mr. Marriott worked at Wells Fargo. So then we asked some more questions about what his role was there. And then really to be consistent with our code of conduct, that reads that we should always err on the side of being conservative.
No, I don't have a problem with this decision or the
Yeah.
recommendation. My question is, how is this transmitted? Like,
Basically.
when I walked in this morning, I didn't have any personal knowledge of this.
So the new board member orientation for that group was last night, and we had circulated the bios yesterday. And that's when, Amy noticed it, and so we brought it to our attorney's attention initially, we thought it was just the issue of he would have to just, not participate in
under
this item.
1090.
But then that's why we went to our general counsel and got their opinion of how to handle it. So it's just the timing of when the information came available.
Okay, so the answer is, because of the nearness of that being last night, you weren't able to transmit it to the directors. Okay. I would just say in the future, when something like we're going to eliminate a firm, you should just say that on the record. You should just explain why. I shouldn't have to ask the question. I mean, that is a big deal. And every one of us has Levine Act issues up here when we vote, all kinds of issues. We're always navigating in a minefield of conflicts and trying not to vote on things and get in trouble. So I would just ask in the future, if something like that comes up, the new directors, they're not in a position to understand how we do business yet. And to me, I advertently, on purpose, I dwelled in this area just because my gut told me that was weird. I don't think we should have to guess. So I would just ask in the future, if something like that comes up where there's a director issue, that should be part of the staff presentation. We should just know that so it's completely transparent. We shouldn't have to guess. That's a sensitive matter. And I would honestly tell you, if his answer was different, like let's say, for example, he answered, no, I think it would impact the buying power of this agency. I would start talking about maybe the director shouldn't serve. And then we have a whole different conversation. So we should just know all that up front so we keep our board dynamics proper. That's all I'm saying.
Director Spitzer, are you also suggesting that staff would have sent a more detailed notice around, email, prior to this meeting?
I think walking in, Madam Chair, we should have had a heads up that there was a 1090 issue that was in front of us, right? Because you don't know sitting here, what happens if any one of us didn't agree with our counsel's recommendation? Let's say their opinion was he can handle it and he could, recuse himself or whatever. They gave out different advice. We are all entitled to rest with that and get our own independent advice and not feel rushed, because why? We all have exposure under 1090 because the entire board under the law is recused if any one of our members has a financial conflict of interest. So this extends to all of us, not just that one director, and the implications could be vast, and it could have really important ramifications. So I would say two things. One, it should have been transmitted. Two, and you get something last night, come here at a 9:30 meeting, it doesn't really give you enough time to digest the impact, or maybe talk to your city, what do you guys call them, our county council or your city attorney. So again, I don't think this is a big deal today, but there clearly could have been a situation where it might have been problematic for a director. And we should handle that, I think, better in the future.
Okay, I appreciate those comments, Director Spitzer. Chairman Sachs.
Just for my own edification, Mr. Attorney, can you explain to me why recusal for this director is not an option?
Mr. Rubin.
Yeah, under 1090, recusal isn't enough. It's different than your other, sort of conflict issues. Under 1090, recusal won't be adequate in order to save the action. And if you don't comply with what 1090 requires, as Director Spitzer said, Government Code 1097 places liability on the entire board, such as, there's a $1,000 penalty, potentially criminal violations. So it's very serious, and so that's why in these situations we always take the most conservative approach possible.
Any other questions? Yes, Director Wong.
Yes, if, I believe Director Marriott serves on both board, but if the director only serves on one board, could let's say in this situation, could Wells Fargo just be removed for one portfolio and not the other one? Or it's the entire, portfolio for both?
Mr. Rubin?
You know, I'd like to look at that before I shoot off the hip. But if you're going to twist my arm, I would say that they are separate entities. And so it wouldn't violate. The problem you'd have there is to the extent that there is a discussion by, each of the different boards on the topic, that can be seen as a violation. So the better option would be to eliminate for both. But again, that's shooting from the hip.
Any other questions? Director Wong? Any other comments? I was kind of in the dark about this as well. However, for different reasons, I assumed Wells Fargo was off the list. It was for some of their controversial operating practices. Certainly not Director Marriott's fault. Well, we will have that's just brilliant. Normally, this goes very smoothly, Director Marriott. Let's have if there are no further questions, bring it back to San Joaquin first for a motion from Director Shea, second from Director Piotr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, from San Joaquin. And from Foothill, I need a director to make a motion. Thank you. Mr. Miller, second?
Second.
And second from Director Wong. All those in favor on Foothill?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's move to Ms. Bond, who is here to give us a report on our transponder contract amendment.
Good morning, Patty Bond from Toll Operations. I will be presenting item number 14 in your board agenda, titled Transponder Contract Amendment. Transponders are used as TCA's primary method for toll collection under the Fast Track brand throughout the toll roads as well as California tolling facilities. TCA currently has close to 1.2 million transponders in circulation and fulfills requests for approximately 7,000 transponders a month. The procurement value is approximately $3.5 million annually. The contract authority to procure transponder ends this fiscal year. Staff is recommending amendment to contract 000833 to extend the procurement authority through fiscal year 2019. The recommendation for this amendment approval is twofold. First, the recommended amendment will increase contract authority required for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor to align the budget to procure transponders through fiscal year 2017. Secondly, the amendment will allow TCA to exercise the procurement option through fiscal year 2019. This contract was first awarded in 2013, and in 2015, the Board of Directors approved the procurement option through fiscal year 2017. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you. At that time, the contract authorization was based on prior cost allocations. As part of the fiscal year budgetary process, staff reevaluated the expense to reconfirm equitable allocations. For fiscal year 2017 budget, the transponder expenditure allocation was modified. The board-approved budget reallocation for transponder is 50% San Joaquin Hills and 50% Foothill Eastern. As a result of this modification, the San Joaquin Hill requires an increase of contract authority of $698,100. In addition, this amendment approval will also authorize procurement authority through fiscal year 2019. Approving this option allows TCA to secure the current price for future deliveries. While the amendment is a not-to-exceed value based on projections, the actual transponder orders are based on actual demand. This table outlines the contract authority authorization. While San Joaquin Hills requires additional authority due to the modified allocation, conversely, Foothill Eastern has a remaining balance from fiscal year 2017 that will carry over and apply to the following fiscal year. The total not to exceed amendment to add contract authority is San Joaquin is $3,476,900 and Foothill $2,080,700. Funding for FY17 is included in the FY17 budget. Future funding through fiscal year 2019 will be included in the respective budgets. Staff is seeking authorized approval for the CEO to execute Amendment Number 7 of Contract 00833 with TransCore to procure transponders through the fiscal year 2019 with a not to exceed of $3,476,900 for San Joaquin and $2,080,700 for Foothill Eastern. With that concludes, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Ms. Bond? Yes, Mr. Miller,
Madam
Director
Chair,
Miller.
thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is just a basic question. Why are we still issuing transponders when we can do this off a license plate? I mean, it seems like a lot of money to be spending on a technology that maybe we don't need.
Well, actually, transponder collection is a more effective and efficient way to collect tolls. We do have two accounts. We have a fast track account and a license plate-based account.
So the interoperability within the state is based on the transponder. So to use all of the other toll facilities in the state requires a transponder account and a transponder. Yes, each of the agencies does enforcement through imaging, but the actual interoperable device is the transponder.
So, so why wouldn't we just use, we have a customer list, who's got a transponder, what their license plate number is associated with that transponder. Why wouldn't we use that with the other agencies around the state instead of issuing, $5 million worth of transponders a year?
So if they're driving our road or one of the other roads, like the 91 express lanes, and don't have a transponder affixed, and CHP is standing there looking at them, that's a violation, and they can be cited for not having a transponder in their vehicle on the 91, on the 110, on I-15 in San Diego. So it's the
do we issue citations?
motor vehicle code.
Do we issue citations on our roads if we don't have a fixed transponder, even though we have a license plate lookup?
We do not.
So these other agencies aren't doing this as well? I mean,
Right.
they're using it as a
So
lookup.
the
for-
license plate accounts is unique to TCA, but it's not interoperable throughout the state.
Okay, thanks.
Question, Ms. Bond. The switchability aspect of the transponder, could you explain how that plays here? I would assume at some point,
Yes.
a transponder that allows flexibility in terms of number of passengers. Can you explain how that's going to be?
Oh, excuse me, I just did the switchable, it has a sound. Actually, we do not use the switchable capability on our toll roads, but the switchable capability is an occupancy declaration, and it's used on the express lanes. And here I have an example of a switchable transponder that allows us to identify 1 and 2 and 3 occupancy, and that will determine a variation of toll rate on the express lanes.
What percentage, do we know what percentage of our ridership is using the flexible, switchable transponder?
This is the only transponder we issue. Because we decided to do that because of the proximity of the LA Metro, and that we decided that to help our customers, because there could be possibility of interoperability between the two, that we decided to issue the switchable for the express lane usage.
Yes, Director Spitzer?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. When are we going to, Dr. Johnson, you might know the answer to this because you know everything. When are we going to the little sticker in the window that will have everything? And it's about 45 cents.
Mr. Johnson?
Good morning, directors. To answer your question, Director Spitzer, the hearing to make the transition to 6C, which is the technology you're referring to, that hearing is actually next week. So we're very hopeful that state law will be amended to incorporate that technology with a support date of January 1, 2019, when all the California toll agencies would have to support it. So as part of our FY18 work plan, we're already starting to put our planning activities in motion to plan for that new technology.
And
So if
the
I'm-
phase-in period, Samuel?
Yes, in the phase-in period. So the transponders we buy.
Mr. Creeman, you don't get to interrupt.
I still know who signs my check.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's still giving you signs.
So there's a phase-in period, of course, because, TCA and the other toll agencies, we do make a significant investment in these, and we don't want to just waste the capital investment. So there's a 5-year phase-in period.
Yeah, but that's the point. And let's talk about that, okay? So if I'm gonna sell a house and I need a new water heater, I don't need to buy a 30-year water heater. I can buy a 5-year water heater, get through my inspection, and it's somebody else's problem and I'm not out of pocket. And I think, thank you very much. It's called business and smart. So the question is are we overbuying our capital stock when we know the everybody's going to 6C, okay? And that little sticker is pennies. So are we overbuying stock? And are we, like, for example, the battery replacement and all that? Do we really need all that when you know as well as I, we are going to 6C and everybody's going to have a 45-cent transponder and our costs are going to just plummet, which is going to be great for everybody. So that's my question because I don't know the answer. Tell me in terms of, I get the 5-year phase-in, but I don't need to buy the 30-year water heater. I need to get me to the point where I only need the shelf life or the sustainability of the tech, what I have now, or buy more, so I can go right immediately to 6C. So explain that in terms of our capital stock. And
Okay.
this proposal, it's a big number.
Yeah. So to answer the first part of your question, Director, no, we are not overbuying. So part of our calculations and our estimates in the board action today, they assume a transition, and the actual expected lifespan of a typical transponder is about 5 years. So our 2019 date, in terms of buying the last type of this transponder, that gets us to the phase-in period of 2024, when California will no longer use this. So the 5-year lifespan of these devices lines up perfectly with what we're requesting the board and authorization to go through 2019. And then by the time this is phased out, we won't be buying any, and we would have maximized the value of this capital.
What
investment.
percentage is offset of this purchase by maintenance fees? In other words, how much is really out of pocket versus the customers paying for through the maintenance fee?
So the actual cost of the transponder is incorporated into our overall cost in our toll rate calculations.
That's not my question.
Yes, Director. So
I'm just saying, how much is the customer paying?
So-
We're expending it, but we get reimbursed through the maintenance fee.
So our account maintenance fee structure today is that each transponder, it has a $2 per month account maintenance fee unless there's $25 in usage on TCA's facilities. The main purpose of the account fee, while it does have some benefit in offsetting our cost, the main intent of that account fee is related to interoperability. Today, TCA has a lot of accounts where customers have chose to keep their account with us, even though they never use our roads. So we have customers today, their account is with TCA, and they only use the 91 Express Lane or LA Metro or even the Golden Gate Bridge. So we actually have account holders in Northern California that have chosen to continue to have their account with us, even though they don't use their facilities. So for TCA, from a financial perspective, there's a cost to us we're incurring without offsetting toll revenue. So the account maintenance fee helps us balance that to make sure that we aren't carrying customers to other agencies' benefits.
Director Spitzer, may I take a?
Mr. Johnson, I
have
loved
some
your
input?
long answer.
Mr. Kramer?
You did not answer my question.
Director Spitzer, may I interject?
Mr. Kramer?
So
What's the offset?
as soon as 6C, this doesn't prevent us from starting to buy 6C the day that they are available, and that's what we will do. All we're trying to do here is lock in the current price we have for the transponders that we need for as long as we have to buy them. There's nothing in here that obligates us to buy them one day past the day that we have to. So the first day that 6C is available, we're going to go to that because of the cost savings and do that. This just gets us to that point, and it doesn't require us to buy one transponder beyond that point in time.
So do you want to answer the question? Does the maintenance fee offset any of this or not?
No, well, I'll let Samuel answer that.
But he
one.
didn't answer.
So the maintenance fee, so basically it takes 8 months of a maintenance fee to offset the cost of a transponder for someone who doesn't use our roads more than $25 per transponder. So it's basically at a maximum an 8-month return on investment for us.
I think you like that answer, Director Spitzer, right? No, not enough. Director Piotr.
And I'm just going to follow up on Mr. Kramen. So the point here, Samuel, is this, first of all, we've got a good price on this, so this locks in that good price
Yes, sir.
for the duration of what we expect to actually buy these. And if the demand for these goes down even before this new interoperability technology, we're only buying the transponders as we need them.
Correct.
So if the demand goes down, we're not buying every month, but we've got the ability to buy it, and this action today actually authorizes us to go to that maximum, but it doesn't mean we're going to.
That's correct, Director.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Let's, if there are no further questions or comments, a motion from San Joaquin on this item.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Shea.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Director Miniger. All those in favor, San Joaquin?
Aye.
Move it
Opposed?
for Foothill.
Second.
And we've got a motion from Director Puckett, second from Schaefer Foothill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move to item 15. Mr. Johnson, you're back.
Yes. Good morning again, Directors. Do I have it?
This is item 15.
There we
There you
go.
go.
The item before you this morning is consideration of entering into an agreement with the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority for TCA to provide toll services operations to San Bernardino for their planned facilities that will begin opening starting in the year 2022. This item was brought through the Joint Toll Operations Committee, who had extensive discussions on it in November and this past month in January, with the outcome of recommending that staff bring the item to the board for its consideration. The item was also discussed at the Strategic Planning Committee, and the feedback from both committees was incorporated into the draft agreement, as well as my presentation today. Also with me today is John Meyer from San Bernardino, their project director, who will join me and share some information on their plans and vision for their express lane facilities. And also, we have Greg Hausheiser, Vice President of HNTB, who's a internationally known tolling consultant who's seen many of these types of agreements, so he's available for questions if you have them as well. So this opportunity came about through, what did I do? Okay, sorry. Okay, this opportunity came about through our FY17 initiative to look at regional partnerships and looking at ways of leveraging our expertise, but also looking at ways to reduce TCA's costs by partnering with other tolling agencies in Southern California to look at contracting opportunities, joint procurements, shared services, those types of items. Through those discussions, San Bernardino County approached us as they were making their plans for their new facilities and asked if TCA would consider incorporating a regional services model as part of our operations and partnering with them to deliver the services they need. That type of model has become very commonplace across the country. Here's a subset of the states and agencies that are also doing the same thing that we're contemplating here. You know, it shows the wide breadth across the country, including folks in Florida, Northeast, up in New York, New Jersey, folks in Colorado, Texas, and then our closest neighbors to the north of us in Northern California, where BATA and MTC provide a similar function, and they have a regional service center that services the 7 different agencies that do tolling in the Bay Area. I'm going to invite John Meyer up to give you some information about San Bernardino and their project.
Thank you, Samuel. Members of the board, good morning. My name is John Meyer. I'm the project director for the I-10 and I-15 corridor projects within San Bernardino County. And today I'll just take a few minutes to share some information about the Express Lane projects that we are considering within the county and why we feel this agreement makes sense for both agencies going forward. Real quick before I get started, some of you may not be familiar with the term SBCTA. It's a relatively new term. We originated as Sandbag back in 1973 as a Council of Governments, and over the years we've added CTC, CTA, CMA functions, basically the transportation planning functions. Last year, Senate Bill 1305 basically restructured us as SBCTA with the sole purpose of planning and administering transportation funds. So that's where the new term comes from. So within the county, we are looking at express lanes on a substantial portion of the corridors within the county. The I-10 corridor project would look at express lanes from the county line with Los Angeles, 33 miles eastward to Redlands, whereas the I-15 project would tie into the Riverside County I-15 project, extend again about 33 miles northward through the Cajon Pass to US 395 by the year 2030. So it's a significant investment going forward on express lanes within the county. I-10 Contract 1, which is the focus of this agreement, is the first segment that would be constructed. It's about 10 miles in length from the LA County line to I-15 and would ultimately result in 2 express lanes in each direction. Now, one of the things that made partnering with TCA attractive to us is that we would be one of the first express lanes to allow not only the transponder tolling, but the video tolling that was discussed earlier today. So our operating principles are very similar. Quick look at where we are on this project. We recently circulated our draft environmental document last year, and we're working towards environmental approval with Caltrans by June of this year. We have started our procurement process for a design-build team and a toll service team to construct I-10 Contract 1, working towards award in May of 2018, and the big date is our financial close in the summer of 2018. And that's why we're here talking about this agreement today, is that it's important to understand how you're going to operate the facility as you move through the project into financial close. Overall, we're looking to start construction in spring of 19 with our express lanes operational by the summer of 2022. Now, there are really 3 main benefits to this partnership, and I think Samuel touched on each of these, but I just want to emphasize from an SBCTA perspective. First off, it's this goal of regional consistency and partnering with other agencies in delivering these projects. From a customer standpoint, it simply will be easier if there's more consistency across these projects as they begin to intertwine and touch each other. So partnering with a world-class operator with proven systems like TCA has is a benefit for all agencies. Secondly, by leveraging this existing system that works here, we think it's going to provide a better customer experience for our customers on day one, leading towards a smoother opening and smoother earlier operation. So that's very important for us to make that transition and opening as smooth as possible. And by going with something that is proven to work, this certainly accomplishes that. And then lastly, of course, is the cost. We feel that this does ultimately reduce costs for both agencies. It really comes down to economies of scale and taking fixed costs across a greater pool of transaction costs. You're able to drive the cost down for both agencies. So the benefit and cost, especially for us in the early years, is a benefit for not only SBCTA, but for TCA as well. So that concludes my presentation. I just want to emphasize that on behalf of SBCTA, we certainly welcome this partnership. We've enjoyed working with TCA staff in developing the agreement to where it is today, and look forward to working with them as we finalize the agreement and move towards operations. I'd be happy to answer any questions before I turn it back over to Samuel.
Questions for Mr. Meyer? Yes, Dr. Chamberlain.
But I didn't see on the schedule is when you anticipate a toll operating agreement with Caltrans to be executed.
So our toll facilities agreement is one of the next things on our discussion with Caltrans. We recently completed our agreement on our current stage that we're at, our procurement stage. We're starting to draft that agreement with District 8 in the coming months here. I'm expecting to have that agreement basically drafted by this summer with Caltrans.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Yes.
I actually was sat in the subcommittee meetings when you came and presented to us, and I'm excited about the opportunity as a regional, and thank you for the compliment, world-class operations here in TCA, we welcome you, and I want to say that I think it's a great idea, not only fiscally, but I think strategically, because as we know that the state of California hasn't been very open to allowing new roads to be built and alternatives to the highways we have already. I think that spreading our alliances and cooperation with other agencies outside of the County of Orange is a strong statement that we're going to move California forward with the help of other regions and other agencies. So I think it's a great idea, and I love the idea.
Director Moreno?
Thank you for the presentation. It's very exciting, particularly the consistency piece of it, given the previous conversation. I'm just curious what would be the downside or concerns that would be raised about this agreement, or have any been raised?
Sure. You know, I think the discussion first of all, we're sharing this with our committee today, and we've worked through it, and they're excited about the agreement as well. We've been before them 2 times in the coming year, and they're also excited for many of the same reasons you explained today. In terms of a downside, I don't know if I see a downside necessarily. I guess if the transaction costs were to rise unexpectedly, that could be an unexpected downside for SBCTA, but we don't see that happening, particularly with the new procurements that TCA is moving forward with here. Sammy, do any come to mind for you?
Not off the top of my head. I think from San Bernardino's perspective, as Mr. Meyer mentioned, they see huge benefits, and TCA definitely sees benefits for us. I guess the main question around us would be, are there any risk involved? And the rest of my presentation will touch on some of those points. Okay.
Director Hack?
Yeah, I'm fascinated because the base funding is not traditional PPP like we are. Basically, I understand your base funding is TIFIA. Is that correct?
It is. Well, the TIFIA is 1/3 of our project funding, and I do have a slide if we wanted to flip to that, but I can describe it in a high-level terms. I-10 Segment 1 is about a $600 million project, $620 million. 1/3 of that would come from a TIFIA loan. The remaining 2/3 would come from our local measure sources as well as our federal funding sources, so what we would call traditional funding, or skin in the game is also what some people like to say, but it is traditional funding. 2/3 of the project is funded by our traditional funding sources. On the TIFIA, we are well into that process. We're traveling out to Washington, D.C. Next month to present the project to them. We've received our indicative rating letter as part of that creditworthiness process and expect to have general agreement with them by summer.
Well, I'm very moved by the TIFIA plan anyway, because we were the entity that started TIFIA up to begin with. When we appealed to ourselves and we went there for our own monies, they've indicated it were not available to us. I'm interested in why they're available to startups but not to ourselves.
Pass that one
Mr.
off
Cramen?
to Mr. Cramen.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely correct that the TIFIA program evolved from a line of credit that the Federal Highways provided to TCA for our initial construction, and that evolved into the TIFIA program. Our CFO, Ms. Potter, and I are actually meeting with TIFIA next week, to start our discussions in terms of how that will be applicable to us, but we're certainly eligible to TIFIA loan. It's a pretty cumbersome process, as I think San Bernardino and our friends at OCTA are finding out, but well worth it because of the interest rates that are available. So, that's definitely something that we're looking at for our future financings, and we're already starting those conversations.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Shea?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to answer Director Marino's question, if I can, as a member of the Toll Ops Committee, and many of us are here today, I think all of us are, we had several meetings, committee meetings, in regard to this program. I came in a little bit hesitant to support it, based on my concern about would there be any liability to the agency. And after a lot of discussion and talks with our general counsel, I believe that the agreement has tightened anything up that could create a problem for us from a liability standpoint. So that was my focus, and I think other members' focus, and we pretty much cleared that up. And I don't know if the general counsel wants to respond to that, but it was something that we discussed pretty heartily at the meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Rubin, wish to
Yeah.
comment?
Yeah, as Director Shea said, that there were a lot of back and forth. We asked for various revisions to the language so as to protect TCA. The ones I would point out are there's 10.1.7 deals with, to the extent that there's any impact as far as loss of revenue to SBCTA because of something happening. We aren't liable unless we were either gross negligence or willful misconduct, which is, a pretty high standard. We would have to have done something purposefully, basically, or we would have had to done something so egregious that was basically purposeful. So we have gone back and forth and made a number of revisions to make sure that this was as tight as it could be.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Oh, Director Ward.
how did we get to the $2.1 million figure?
Mr. Johnson?
How does that reimburse or pay TCA for all the technology and work that we have done?
Okay. I can answer that now, or I do have some more information and some additional slides if you wanted me
Okay.
to go through those.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So, of course, in discussing the agreement, we wanted to make sure we clarify which agency was responsible for what. So San Bernardino, of course, they remain responsible for everything that happens on their road, their equipment, their toll rates, and any penalties that they want to use in terms of violations. TCA's main job is just to process the transactions they submit to us, and then, of course, there's customer service that goes with those. We drew a clear line of responsibility when it comes to violations to protect TCA's interests. So we will process a violation up to the point we would place a DMV hold. If San Bernardino wants to use some of the stronger tools that are allowed under California law, such as civil judgments, tax refund intercepts, or third-party collections, the agreement cites that they can use our same contractors, but they have to have their own contracts, and that would be their responsibility. So that's a protection for TCA. In terms of developing our compensation approach, similar to the other regions that I cited and the models they used, we established a combination compensation model, which uses a fee for any transaction they submit to us for processing, and an additional fee if that transaction then becomes a violation. We also have verbiage in the agreement that establishes a minimum compensation threshold because, as you can imagine, with a brand-new greenfield facility, there is some risk. So TCA did not want exposure where if their transactions, although they have a very conservative approach, if their transactions don't live up to what they thought it would be, TCA still needs to be made whole. So we've incorporated verbiage for that. And then in terms of looking at those costs, those are established annually, but we have verbiage that requires a mid-year review as well to determine if adjustments are needed to those costs. The cost components includes all the areas where TCA would have expense that applies to the services we're providing TCA. And this includes staffing, operating expenses, with a large one being credit card banking fees. We're processing their transactions and we're incurring fees. So we want to make sure we're made whole in that regard. And then we've also included some of our overhead costs to give TCA some benefit and reflect the benefit that San Bernardino is receiving from our expertise. So we also have facility space, management staff, my entire team, as well as positions in finance and marketing to, again, make sure TCA is made whole and that we receive some benefit from this arrangement in terms of lowering TCA's cost. In terms of getting to the fee, Director Ward, to answer your question, so we developed a structured methodology and approach so that each year or each mid-year when we go to review what the cost should be, that we're all clear on what approach will be taken in determining those costs. So we always use TCA's cost as a foundation, and then we use a variety of ratios and factors looking at the quantity of their transactions versus the quantity of theirs. Based on their transactions and our experience, how many customer accounts would we expect them to have if they were on their own, and how many staffing they would need in customer service if they were on their own. So we make sure we look at the value they're receiving from us and making sure TCA is made whole. So in looking at our fee structure using that methodology, we established a proposed agreement of 19 cents per transaction as the cost, and that equates to about $2.3 million a year. And those costs and that projection is based on if we were doing the service today, right? Because we only know our cost today for FY17, and as I cited with our review process, we will look at this again each year. So the cost that would be in place by the time their facility opens, we don't necessarily know that today, but we've established a methodology that will help us calculate that. So that's how we get to the $2.3 million per year, Director. I want to make sure I adequately answered your question.
Okay, our staff report says 2.1 million.
So the 2.1 is reflective of a reduction. So we also have a clause in the agreement related to the account maintenance fees that Director Spitzer was asking about earlier. So we recognize that through this agreement, TCA's account base is going to grow, right? We're going to get more customers. A lot of those customers, or some of those customers, may never use a TCA facility. That means they're going to be paying us to $2 a month. So in that regard, we felt it was fair to attribute some of that account maintenance revenue to San Bernardino because it would essentially be their customer. It helps offset some of their costs. So we have a guesstimate in there. We really don't know what that usage will be, but we have a method to calculate it each month. And that's how we get from the 2.3 million to the 2.1. There's an assumption that they are going to be able to offset some of the costs that they would pay to us through an allocation of those account maintenance fees. Okay. In terms of looking at the financial benefit for TCA, this is something we heard a lot at both committees that the board members really wanted to see. So in looking at, our internal costs for the services that are contemplated under this agreement, that's the column entitled TCA, and that's where our cost for these services is about $16.8 million. And over our 96 million transactions we have per year, that equates to about 18 cents. When we look at the cost allocation or the fees we're charging San Bernardino, that equates to the $2.3 million I mentioned, which is about 19 cents per transaction, and that's what we're charging them. And then the third column is what is TCA's cost, our total cost, when we include the services we're providing to San Bernardino. So that cost equates to about $18.5 million. So while I didn't show the column, of course, if you take the TCA cost and add the San Bernardino cost, it is larger than $18 million. So that's the first sign you see that there's some economies of scale towards this agreement. So in breaking down that economy of scale to try and identify exactly what the financial value is to TCA, we have the calculations you see at the bottom of the screen. TCA's regional cost, and that's the expanded cost that includes both sides. And I apologize, I just noticed I have a typo there. So this shows about 18.7 million. So when we take that new cost and we deduct what fees we would get from San Bernardino to 2.3, we now get a TCA net cost of $16.4 million. And when we compare that to TCA's existing cost of 16.9, that delta is the financial benefit of about $500,000 per year that we receive. So in terms of a margin, if you compare it to $500,000 in net benefit we're receiving versus the $2.3 million we're charging, it's about a 20-21% margin.
A clarification, Mr. Johnson. You may have already covered this, but could you just identify the funding source San Bernardino would use should their fees fall below the use? What's the backup?
Sure, I can respond to that, and I'll look to John if I mistake. So part of San Bernardino's capital plan, they've taken a portion of their construction funding and they set aside a reserve account, similar to what TCA does. So right off the bat, they established a $3 million reserve for operations and maintenance expenses that may have been unexpected. So that's part of their backstop. They also, in the background, have their Measure I, their regional sales tax, as a backstop, and I believe it was 300 million? The potential?
$35 million.
35
but
million.
it's up to, that's basically 5 years worth of O&M.
Right. So they've established backstops similar to what TCA has if they get in the rough times to make sure they can pay their bills.
Second question deals with the issue of the agreement itself. Is there language in the agreement that would prevent San Bernardino from altering any of our policies with regard to tolling?
Yes, that was a key aspect of being able to reach this agreement. So they are TCA's customers. So, and we will manage those customers and their accounts according to TCA's business rules. If TCA is considering a business rule that we think will impact San Bernardino, we of course will be a good partner and have those discussions to vet out those impacts and make sure we're not doing anything that will overly impact them. Conversely, if San Bernardino is considering doing anything on their road that could impact us, the agreement requires them to discuss that with us, because if TCA has a financial impact due to that change, we need to incorporate that cost impact or ask San Bernardino to not move forward with that aspect.
Very good. How many more slides?
2. So we've highlighted the benefits, so I really won't go over that in too much detail. I think the key thing we heard through the committee discussions about, you know, the margin and the savings. TCA staff views it as kind of one and the same. So we included Ben Franklin's quote, you know, a penny saved is a penny earned. So whether we save it or it's on the prop or on the revenue side, the bottom line still ends up being the same. So there's benefit there. So in summary, this agreement is really about TCA performing transaction processing when they send those to us. But, you know, naturally there's some customer service involved in that regard. We've established a cost model that ensures TCA is always made whole and that we receive some financial benefit from the agreement. We have protections in the agreement, as Mr. Rubin cited, to mitigate any risk associated with TCA establishing this. And one aspect we also see is this establishes a good framework for future partnership opportunities, whether it's San Bernardino and their grand plans of 66 miles of express lane network, or another agency. Additional partnerships will also further reduce TCA's cost. So we think this is a good starting point for us. And in terms of planning and all those aspects, we have at least 4 years. I would not anticipate TCA having to do much work until 2021, about a year before their opening, when the ramp up would start.
Very good.
And that concludes my report. So the requested board action is for both agencies to authorize the chief executive officer to enter into an agreement with San Bernardino in substantially the form attached to your agenda item. And I'm available for any further questions.
Any further questions? Looking for, Director Murphy.
Yeah, you mentioned you had a typo on 2 slides back. Does that impact your margin calculation?
It should not.
Good catch.
No, and I apologize. I think I was trying to make this slide prettier this morning, and I fat fingered it.
That's okay. I just wanted to be certain because I saw the allocation of 2.3, and yet there was a discussion about 2.1 on the basis of the sharing that goes back for the new customers.
Correct.
So does that affect that math?
No, it does not. So we're showing the 2.3, what we actually charge them. Whatever allocation they actually receive from the account maintenance fees, you know, we really can't project that today. We've included a guesstimate, and that's why the staff report mentions the 2.1. But in terms of our numbers and our net benefit, that's on the cost. Because if we look at their allocation of account maintenance fees, we'd also have to look at our projections of what additional account maintenance fee we will receive.
But in the abundance of caution, you could, in theory, make an argument that the savings margin number goes down to 300K instead of 500K. If you took your short analysis down to the 2.1, the way I read it, am I missing something?
I would disagree, Director, because yes, there is a potential revenue offset for San Bernardino in terms of their cost, right, where they may get some revenue back. But there's also additional revenue that TCA will receive.
So you believe it's going to wash?
I believe it will be a wash, because our agreement is if that customer also uses the I-10, then that fee revenue stays with TCA.
I get the logic. I just since we were batting around a second number, I like spreadsheets, so it's my own weakness. But and term of the agreement?
So the term of the agreement is essentially greenfield.
And what happens if mom and dad decide to get divorced?
So we definitely have provisions in there. The most important probably being that if TCA is not compensated in a timely manner, we can terminate the agreement at any time. In terms of terminating for convenience, There's an initial 3-year period during operations that both parties agreed to, that we would not terminate for convenience during the first 3 years. And then after that, it's a year-to-year determination. Either party can terminate for convenience with 1 year notice, and the 1 year notice is to give our
ramp-up time,
partners
sure.
time to do another procurement.
Further questions for Mr. Johnson? I just got a note from Director Spitzer that he's so enthusiastic about this that he'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, Director Spitzer.
This is your kind of project. This is your kind.
I think the agreement's excellent. I will make a motion. I want to congratulate you, and I want to congratulate Mr. Kramer for hiring you.
I'll second
Because
it.
you've been here, what, 2 years now, Sam?
It will be 2 years next week, sir.
See, pretty good, right? And for the whole team, this is the kind of innovation, thoughtfulness, entrepreneurial attitude about using what we already do and capitalizing on it, but not to the detriment of the agency. And so we did spend a lot of time working on the agreement. I want to thank council for helping with that, but we didn't have a conflict provision, because you always have conflict, how to resolve conflict, mediation. So I think the agreement protects us. I think it's excellent for the other agency. And, you know, TIFIA, that's a big deal. I mean, a lot of us are at TIFIA right now, right? For OCTA is at TIFIA, you guys are going to be at TIFIA, you're going to be at TIFIA. Because it's cheap, free money, essentially. It's like free money at TIFIA. It's not free, I know, but it's close to being free. So, yes, I'll make the motion. Thank you for asking me to do that, and
Yeah, I'll second that.
congratulations.
We got a second for San Joaquin from Director
And I'll second
Piotr.
from Foothill Eastern.
And we'll use your first from Foothill and a second for Foothill from Director Boyd. Yes, you're on.
And I'd like to say that, you know, not only does this benefit a world-class organization, thank you for that, and I think that we are strengthened because of your alliance with us, and moving forward, I think for mobility and for the commuters of Southern California, I think we're going in the right direction. So thank you for bringing this great offer to us. Thank you.
Before we have the one vote, thanks again to Mr. Meyer, who was here this morning representing San Bernardino. Look forward to this new partnership. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bott is here to present a Foothill Eastern only item. And this is the agreement TCA and the County of Orange for the Oso Bridge project.
Hi, I'm Paul Bopp, and I'm here to request board approval of a co-op agreement with the County of Orange to advertise, award, and administer the Oso Bridge project. And since there's a lot of new faces up on the board here, I'm going to take a minute to orient where this project's at. As you can see from this slide, if you follow the 241, that red line that's kind of to the right there, all the way down until it ends and stops, that's where this project is located, at the terminus of the 241 in Rancho Santa Margarita. Now, if you look at the blue box there, this next slide here is a zoom in of that area. And as this shows, the toll road terminates into Oso Parkway at this location. And there are existing toll points here at the northbound on and southbound off ramps leading to and from the toll road. And then there on the left in the bottom there, you can see Tesoro High School on the picture. Now, the area south of Oso Parkway, for those who aren't particularly familiar with this area, is owned by Rancho Mission Viejo, which I'll refer to now as RMV. Now, RMV is in the process of constructing Los Patrones Parkway, which is shown here in red, and we see it terminating on the other side of Oso Parkway from our ramps. The Los Patrones Parkway will connect Oso Parkway using on and off ramps that mirror the existing 241 ramps, and will bring traffic to and from their Essentia development in Planning Area 2, and also future developments in Planning Area 3, to the toll road entrance and exit points. Los Patrones will connect to Oso Parkway using on and off ramps that you can see here in the red that are basically a reflection of our ramps. Now, shown in blue here is the project that is before you for the co-op agreement, and that is the Oso Bridge and Gap project. And this is not part of the Los Patrones Parkway. This project includes construction of a bridge and new pavement between Los Patrones Parkway and the 241. This will allow through traffic to and from the toll road to pass under Oso Parkway, eliminating the need for cars to exit and then re-enter again through the ramp intersections. So they will just be able to go straight through, which is a great convenience for the user of the toll road, that they don't have to exit and stop and then get back on again. They can just go right on through. This obviously will improve traffic operations, safety, and increase ridership to the existing 241. Now, as can be seen in this picture, which was taken about a week ago, Rancho Mission Viejo was well on their way to constructing Los Patrones Parkway. As you can see, the grading operations are underway, and you can see our ramps in the far distance being mirrored by this grading of the new ramps that would be to and from the ranch's development from the south there. The opening date that they project for Los Patrones Parkway is the second quarter of 2018. Now, the county and TCA are presently working together already on the design phase of the Oso Bridge project under an existing co-op agreement that began in February of 2016, which came before this board. This co-op agreement defined the roles and responsibilities during the project approval and environmental document phase, as well as the development of project plans, specifications, and estimates. This first co-op agreement also dictated that the county will advertise, award, and administer the project, and this co-op stated that this the second co-op would be entered into to cover these later phases of the project. Now, work accomplished to date under the first co-op agreement included the CEQA addendum that was completed, and a notice of determination by the county was filed on June 14th for the project, and a project report which has been finalized and signed by Caltrans has been completed. We're presently in the plan, specification, and estimate phase, which is nearing completion, and it should be finalized by March 2017. All effective utility companies have been contacted, and relocation plans are being developed. Once the plan, specification, and estimate phase is done, the next step is to advertise, award, and administer the project. This work is proposed to be completed by the county, and a second co-op agreement, which I am requesting approval from the board today, is needed to define the roles and responsibilities during these phases of the project, which will include construction. The co-op agreement also obligates $40,000 for work that is preliminary to project advertisement that the county will perform. Now, the overall project costs for the Oso Bridge project include the $40,000 that we just talked about, and also $3.96 million for the remainder of the advertise and award and administer cost, and the construction costs of the bridge and the roadway at $26.3 million. Now, as can be shown on the asterisk by the last two numbers, these costs require future board approval and will be included in the proposed fiscal year 2018 budget. And I want to be very clear on this, that those two asterisks and that the staff will come back to the board for authorization of the $3.96 million and $26.3 million. The only authorization that occurs today is the $40,000 for the preliminary work. Now, approval of the co-op agreement does not give county notice to proceed with the advertise and award and administer of the contract. The notice to proceed is dependent on conditions in the Save San Onofre settlement agreement that the board recently passed and approved. That within that agreement, the notice to proceed requires a triggering event. And the triggering event would be one of these four. It's not all of them, but just one of them has to occur. One would be that we have a complete EIR for the 241 extension. The second would be a protective agreement with the state agency to protect the specified avoidance area defined in that agreement. And another one would be protective legislation from the state to protect that same avoidance area. And the last would be a protective easement or a conservation easement placed over the avoidance area. Now, let's review the steps required for the Oso Bridge project to go to construction. So hopefully today, the TCA board approves co-op agreement number 2, which then authorizes $40,000 for the county to prepare to advertise the project. If that occurs, then the same agreement will go to the County of Orange Board of Supervisors for approval. And upon their approval, the county would then prepare to advertise the project. Next, the triggering event needs to occur. And once that's achieved, then TCA staff will request board approval for the project funding. So that's the 26.3 million and the 3.96 million remaining for the advertise, award and administer the contract. That will provide the TCA CEO authority to give notice to proceed to the county. Then the county staff would request Board of Supervisor approval to advertise the project. Then the county will follow that by advertising the project. The county will then receive bids, which TCA will review, and upon accepting the winning bid, the county staff will then go back to their board and request Board of Supervisor approval to award the construction contract. And following that, construction begins. So that concludes my presentation, and the staff recommendation is to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a co-op agreement with the County of Orange to advertise, award, and administer the Oso Bridge project. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions for Mr. Bott? Director Boyds?
Obviously, another exciting agenda item here, as we're moving progress down there, and me being a former carpenter that actually fell off a bridge while I roll around in my wheelchair, I'm always excited about pouring mud, and so this is an opportunity for me to say that I've moved staff recommendation and say, let's pour some mud.
Okay.
Thank you, Director.
Level of excitement from Director Boyds. Director Ward?
Okay. I do have a question on, this agreement does not cover Los Patrones Parkway or the on and off ramps, correct?
Yes, the on and off ramps to and from Los Patrones Parkway does not cover those, correct?
Is there anything that says that those are going to actually be built?
Well, they're being, as you saw in that one picture, they're being built today.
I was trying to look at the dirt in that picture and I could not tell.
Oh, do you want me to go
those
back to
ramps.
that one?
But that's what I want to find
Yeah.
out, is it in the intention of Rancho Mission Viejo that those on and off ramps currently planned for Los Patrones Parkway will be built?
Yes,
And this
they're-
bridge will not replace them?
No, the bridge will never replace those ramps. The bridge is to simply allow direct access from Los Patrones directly onto the 241 without having to utilize going off of their ramps and then back onto our ramps. The through traffic can just head directly north or coming the other way going south without utilizing the ramps, which improves the traffic operation.
Will those ramps become TCA property in the future? Is there any agreement on that?
Within the co-op agreement, there is an agreement that the ranch turns that area, that 4/10 of a mile that encompasses the project, that turns over from the ranch to the county, and then the county turns that over from the county to TCA, and then the progression would be TCA turns that over from themselves to Caltrans, because that whole ramp intersection would become part of the state right away.
Right, but TCA this agency has no plans to get rid of those two ramps?
No, they will always be there.
Okay. In part of the agreement, it says that this agreement supersedes all prior representations, understandings, and communications. Does that include communications to this board and previous
I will
meetings?
defer to council on that.
Mr. Rubin?
Yeah, it's between the two agencies, so I guess the question would be, what specific representations are you concerned about regarding this?
Specifically, I would be concerned about that the city of San Clemente and the city of San Juan Capistrano, in prior actions for this particular project, we were told that this would not get built and no further actions would be done until there was a granted approval to the I-5 extension. And I understand this is not building it, but this is allowing the county to advertise for a project, bid for the project, and award it. So basically, we're starting the project. And so the city of San Clemente is concerned that we have not worked out a way to the 5 yet, and that this is premature, and this is not how we plan meaningful regional transportation, by doing it a segment at a time. So we are going to be voting no on it, and I think this should not even be brought up. Again, if this supersedes things that that were said to us, that should be stated here, to this board, that we're now changing directions in what we had said before and how we had voted. And it shouldn't just be in a cooperative agreement with the county. So,
I don't believe that's the intent of that statement. I think it's a pretty standard statement that it is.
Well, I believe it is
anything
because
that's within, as Mr.
it might
Rubin
be
stated.
standard, but I'm sure it will be used later to say that, anything that we represented to you before, this now changes it. And somewhere further in this agreement, it says that this has full board consent to go here. Delivery and performance of this agreement has been duly authorized by all necessary action by such parties governing board. So I would say that this is not in agreement with what we were told and what we had voted on previously for CIP projects.
Thank you, Director Ward, and as you know, your comments are now part of the public record, and we appreciate those comments as you represent the City of San Clemente. We have, before we go to Director Chamberlain, our Director Alternate, Jimenez, would like to comment, representing the county, I assume?
Yes, today Supervisor Bartlett had a scheduling conflict with the CSAC Executive Committee, but she asked me to deliver some remarks on her behalf. She states, the Oso Bridge project has been supported by Caltrans, the county, and TCA. Supervisor Bartlett wholeheartedly supports the Oso Bridge project, which will improve traffic operations and provide a safer alternative for commuters traveling from Los Patrones Parkway to SR 241. Additionally, the project will facilitate regional mobility in South Orange County. She looks forward to receiving updates as the project progresses.
Thank you, Director Jimenez. Director Chamberlain.
Thank you. I'd like to comment on a few points that were made, and one is that the Caltrans has approved via encroachment permit the ramps for Rancho Mission Viejo. And we did that acknowledging and certainly reviewing the county environmental approved document that permitted those ramps to move forward. The ramps are being constructed in a way to avoid throwaway. They're being constructed in anticipation of Oso Bridge, so we anticipate that there won't be much throwaway, if any at all, with the Oso Bridge project coming online. We believe the Oso Bridge project is needed first and foremost because it's a public safety concern that may be created with ramps that are there without the bridge. And I say that in the context of the ramps will function just fine without the bridge. However, there's a safer improvement that can be done out there, and we believe that's the Oso Bridge. The Oso Bridge would essentially eliminate the through movement for those heading southbound 241, getting off on Oso Parkway, going through Oso Parkway and back on the southbound Los Patrones on-ramp. And if you pull up the aerial, it might be a little easier to see. By constructing Oso Bridge, we will be eliminating that movement, which in effect creates a T-bone type of accident if it occurs with commuters going east-west on Oso Parkway, and those that would be crossing Oso Parkway to get back on Los Patrones. Note that Tesoro High School is in the lower left portion of that slide. For those that are familiar with this area, and I certainly live in that area, and I tour that area during the peak times where students are walking to or from school. That southbound 241 off-ramp has also a movement with pedestrians and bicyclists that cross those ramps on a daily basis. Eliminating that movement certainly may help reduce any potential vehicle versus pedestrian conflicts out there. So the state is very much in support of the Oso Bridge project. We're very happy TC and the county are partners with Caltrans in this effort, and we're looking forward to moving this project.
Thank you. Director Murphy, and then Director
Thank
Wong.
you. Well, first, just from a rules of order standpoint, I'm going to second
I
Director
appreciate
Boyd's
that.
motion so we can have the discussion.
A legal
and,
discussion.
no worries. And just an observation, I mean, there's definitely differences of opinion that have been expressed about this project. And so when I hear comments about the board authorizing something, I never assume, because that's a dangerous thing to do, that it's unanimous. That being said, however, in this particular case, I wholeheartedly support this effort because of the safety implications and the fact that for once we're doing things in tandem so as not to have a bunch of rework down the line and the rest of those things where if we weren't planning ahead and doing these things, we would, when the time came, we'd be considering it again with much more on the expense line based on removals and such. So, I just wanted to take care of the second number one, but also, at least me, I can speak as an individual. I never misunderstand a board's vote, whether it's this board or my council, to mean that it's unanimous, and that's something folks that have a differing opinion should take some solace in.
Thank you, Director Murphy. Director Wong.
Being new to the board, I'm trying to understand everybody's role in this. So for TCA, we're building the blue part, correct? Okay, and that would include the bridge.
Correct.
Correct. But, and I'm trying to understand Director Ward's concern and the representation, because when when you use the pronouns "we," I was trying to figure out who's the "we" that made the representation that the bridge is not a consideration, and your particular concerns, because, you know, this is traversing through your city, so I think your city's concerns should be considered. So if you can help me, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
I appreciate
Director Ward?
that. This bridge is being constructed truly to take over Los Patrones Parkway and add a toll road. It is not just for safety. It is so that this could go down to Cow Camp Road in San Juan Capistrano. That city does not want it to end there. They want it to go through. And recently, this agency has picked an alignment possibility that goes straight through the city of San Clemente. Our city has never been planned to have the toll road through it. We're not designed that way. So I have concerns, and in prior voting to just do a design of this bridge to get ready, we were told, San Juan Capistrano and I, that our vote for this would only be for designing, and that this bridge would not be constructed until there was a full route to the 5. So our votes were on that assurance. Now we are coming with a second cooperative agreement, and I object to it because that is not what we were told, that is not what my prior votes were on, and this is not genuine here when you talk about Los Patrones Parkway and all we're doing is building a bridge for safety. It's not genuine. TCA, this agency we're all public officials here. It should be above board, open, honest, what we're doing, and if this for regional planning, and if this is a good thing and the people want it, let's say what we're doing. But this agreement does not. It does double talk and doesn't state the true intent.
Director Wong, I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for you to meet privately with Director Cramen or any of our new members who would like more information about this issue and future planning. We would be advised. Any further comments or any other comments, Director Wong?
No, I just want some clarification background. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? We have a motion from Director Voigt and a second from Director Murphy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
One opposed from Director Ward. Motion carries. Do you have a comment? Let's hear from Ms. Daly, who's going to give us an update on our state and legislative platforms.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and for the new board members I have yet to meet, my name is Barbie Daly, and I'm the Director of Government and Legislative Affairs for the agencies. The item before you today is the approval of the 27-18 fiscal year state and federal legislative platforms. The legislative platforms outline the areas TCA will focus on during the 2017-18 legislative cycle and provide staff, as well as our consultants, with policy direction as we advocate on behalf of the agencies. Both legislative platforms were presented to the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee at the November meeting as well as the January meeting. At the direction of the committee following the November meeting, the platforms were distributed to the full boards for your review, comment, and input. The platforms are based on the same philosophy TCA has adopted in previous years. Support reliable funding for transportation projects, pursue, as needed, statutory or regulatory changes that benefit TCA, look for opportunities to expedite and improve the environmental review process, and protect the agency's ability to complete its capital projects. The platforms also recognize the continued need to identify and educate members of the legislature on TCA's mission, funding, operations, and projects. Over the next several months, staff and our legislative advocates will continue the robust outreach campaign that began in late 2016 as a result of the settlement agreement signed by the Foothill Eastern Board of Directors in November. The agreement provides an opportunity to brief the new members of the legislature as well as reintroduce the agencies to members who have served for some time. The policies outlined in the platforms are the basis for which staff and consultants will identify relevant bills and the level of engagement necessary, if any. The deadline for bill introduction in the state legislature is February 17th. Our Sacramento advocates have been monitoring bills as they are introduced with the goal of presenting the annual legislative watch list to the Joint Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee prior to bringing it to the boards of directors in April. Additionally, staff may periodically bring legislative items to the boards throughout the year if needed for action. That concludes my report, and I am happy to take any questions you may have.
Questions for Ms. Daly? I think we're all very familiar with the platform and the work that's being done at federal and specifically state level. With no questions, we will have a motion in a second from San Joaquin.
So moved.
Thank you, Director.
I'll second.
Second from Director Voights. Let's just go ahead and make one vote. A motion from Foothill.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Puckett, and a second from Director Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. If not, Director Voights? Oh, apologize. Scotty Piotr.
No mud in that.
Mr. Kramen, report?
Thank you. I'm happy to report for San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor that for the month of January, transactions were up 3.6% despite all the rain days, and rain days are not good for traffic on the road, by the way. We usually have a hit when it rains. Discretionary trips drop. And revenues were also up 7.1%. And on Foothill Eastern, transactions were up 5.7%, and the resulting revenues were up 8.5%. And we did see a bump in traffic on the 241 with the closure of Ortega Highway, so that resulted. So that's probably why Foothill Eastern performed slightly better. Oh, Ryan says thanks, yeah. Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Not that the two boards ever compete with each other on those numbers. Any reports from any of our directors who wish to make comments before the end of the meeting? No? And let's move to Mr. Rubin. We have, Chairman Sachs. You can try to take the microphone away from me now?
No, ma'am, we're open for comments here from directors, and I wanted to thank all of those that showed confidence in myself to chair the Foothill Eastern toll roads. I also have learned a number of things just in today's meeting as the chair. For quite a while, I thought that Director Murphy was winking at me. And I later learned that he wanted the attention of the chair to speak. So understanding that...
Sorry to get your hopes up.
Well, those things can be dashed and arranged later, so we'll talk later about that. And while a most forthright and honorable Director Spitzer, I did want to mention that one should always take due diligence when buying anyone's house, regardless of whose house it is. But I just wanted to
Water heater issue.
learned a couple things today, and winks are always not what they mean to be. Thank you.
Any other observations or
I'm done.
comic relief?
Sounds like we're going to have a
Yes,
fun
Director
year
Moreno.
ahead.
First and foremost, I want to thank you for the warm welcome this morning by all directors who introduced themselves and welcomed me as a new Anaheim representative to the agency, to the board. But also want to thank staff because I couldn't make it to the group orientation, and it was quite impressive to be one director sitting with 8 staff ready and willing to share with me all I needed to know to prepare for today's meeting, as well as my role on this board. So thank you to staff for an excellent orientation and welcoming spirit.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Mr. Rubin?
The board will now convene in closed session to discuss the 2 pending litigation matters that are identified under Roman numeral 7 in the agenda. We don't anticipate any reportable action.
No reportable action? Thank you, Mr. Rubin. We're now convened to closed session. No reportable action. Meeting is adjourned.